No, nothing. Testing, testing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Jay Trammell says, I don't think Malcolm X ever said that.
Good.
Nice. Excellent. Knowledge is poison. And you are going to find out why.
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Good morning, guys. We're going to talk about knowledge being poison. Little did you know that. Well, a lot of you really do know that because you've been listening and considering and pondering life. And so this is what you're going to do with me.
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Good morning, guys. And you can join in with me if you're watching live by calling 888-775-3773. 888-775-3773. And I came up with this topic, knowledge is power, because I heard multiple times, oh my gosh, I never sent Jesse the show. I heard multiple times that this caller, favorite caller of mine and yours, Maze, out of Dayton, Ohio, say that knowledge is power. And I'm like, no, it's not. But it is a common, it's a common refrain. People say it all the time. And there is like some power, like you can have power over people if you know something about them. But that's not real power. That's more like blackmail. Or all kinds of different ways that you can say that knowledge is power. But it really is not, because it's knowledge. Knowledge is more pride than power. Knowledge is useful, but it only takes you so far. For example, a lot of people know that you're supposed to or they think they know that you're supposed to like confess Jesus as Lord and all those blah blah blah, and yet they don't know how to actually do it. They're like, I know how to get it into my head. You hear this among Christians a lot. I know how to get head knowledge, but I don't know how to get that down to my heart knowledge. I understand it in my head, but it's not changing me. And this, I guess you could call it Western culture, is really into intellectualism. And it's done kind of a bit of a disservice because you'll notice that people are not actually changing. People are like weaker than they've ever been. And because this is like the information age where you can gather all the knowledge that you could ever want just by going onto YouTube or Google or the internet or the library or all kinds of different things and gather the specific type of knowledge that you're looking for. But you're not going to be helped by it. In fact, most of the time you're going to get worse by it. I saw this in my own life when I got really into the Bible. It didn't really seem to help me. I tended to get a little bit weirder and worse, even though I was trying to like seek after God. And then I got into, when I was exposed to the disproportionate black on white crime that happens in the country, that was like a surprise to me. And so like I wanted to look it up for myself and independently verify the numbers from people like Amren, American Renaissance, Jared Taylor. I could tell that he's like basically by the book type of a guy who's not going to manipulate the numbers to make things better or worse than they really are. But I wanted to independently see it for myself. And so I just got into it and got into it and got into it and got into it. And it went kind of nuts going too into it. I was once at my friend's house and I was like, spent the whole day kind of writing out all these black on white crime and black crime and the disparities and all that stuff, because the statistics were kind of interesting to me. And so you can obsess over knowledge, and it doesn't do you any good. It makes you worse and crazy and angry. This is what happened to Dylann Roof. He Googled black on white crime. Dylann Roof is the guy, I think he was in his 20s, but he was like kind of into drugs and stuff like that. He had a black friend, and he kind of was a lower class white guy. He was born maybe out of wedlock, or at least a child of divorce. And he also said, I'm getting an alert that I have 3 white patches from bad lighting. Like 2, I'm washed out because I'm white as, not white as snow, because this is like not white washed out. It's like yellow washed out. Oh, thanks for putting up Dylann Roof. Back to Dylann Roof. He searched black on white crime, and like he delved into this sort of race war ideology. He found out that blacks were raping women at disproportionate rates, white women at disproportionate rates, and that blacks were killing whites disproportionately, and all kinds of things. And meanwhile, media was attacking white people as though white people were the problem. White people were attacking blacks, and it's not the case. And so this type of thing drives whites nuts, especially because whites tend to be like intellectual and into this. And when you lie to them and they know that you're lying to them, it makes them mad, especially if they're angry whites to begin with. Same thing with Christopher Cantwell. Christopher Cantwell didn't necessarily commit crimes. I think he's committed other crimes, but such as like, I think he got picked up on DUI or something, or drunk in public possibly. But that's just because of his anger and out of controlness that afflicts most, if not all of us. But he was angry. Christopher Cantwell said that he was angry when he found out that that the media was taking up for the thug Trayvon Martin. And when it was obviously like a case of self-defense, the guy was out of control. And you can't be assuming that it was a so-called racist murder. So this type of thing, it affected Dylann Roof to where he wanted to join in on the race war and just attack innocent black people. He even liked these black guys at this church that he went to, this Bible study that he went to in, what was it, Charlotte or Charlottesville or I don't know, Charleston? Anyway, North Carolina, South Carolina, he shot up the church and killed 8 or 9 people, blacks. And it was partly because, 1, he was angry, and 2, he was into this knowledge thing, which only makes things worse for you. You'll notice, like, I've noticed some both like black nationalists and more like white nationalist types who they get into some type of knowledge, something that they think that they know, and they may know something, I don't know. But they just get carried away with it, and they lose friendships over it, and just go nuts, and nobody likes them, nobody wants to be around them. They burn bridges, and I did the same too. When I started to get into, like, even listening to Jesse's show, I started to get into politics a little bit, and then I'm like panicking because the country was going out of control under Obama, and so I'm like going on Facebook, acting like I'm doing something, touting my knowledge, and delete, unfriend, ban, all those things like that these people were responding to me with was just shutting down. And that's what knowledge does to you, is poison. Obviously, there's good knowledge, I guess, but I want to also point out Maze knows stuff, and she doesn't tend to listen, though. It kind of cuts you off from listening and learning. Blacks are really into knowledge. Or at least they act like they're into knowledge. And I watched this movie last night with Joel and Esteban, my former co-hosts, And we were going to try to watch Mission Impossible, that Fallout movie. But of course, we showed up all late, didn't plan ahead. And we couldn't really because I had a free ticket that I needed to use. And so we watched Equalizer Part 2, The Equalizer 2 with Denzel Washington. And everybody knows that Denzel Washington is like a likable actor or whatever, but he's kind of liberal, into the black thing a little bit. And sure enough, in this movie, I spot him. He's wearing this Muslim skull cap and has a big beard. And spoiler alert, he's reading this book by Ta-Nehisis Coates, Between the World and Me. And Ta-Nehisi like teaches his son that the world is racist, and he's a son of a Black Panther, and he's a black liberal, and he hates truth. So and he's a feminist and all kinds of crazy things. Yeah, there he is. That's Denzel with this looking like a Muslim. Pretty good work. I couldn't find anything. I was looking for him holding the book, but I couldn't find it. Product placement. And a side note about product placement, I saw a funny situation back when I was like 12. My dad took me to watch a PG-13 movie called Last Action Hero, or maybe it was R. It should have been R, almost. But this movie, Last Action Hero, with Arnold Schwarzenegger, we're watching this movie in the theater, and we see this book that my dad wrote, Math 87, that my dad wrote. The kid in the movie, the main protagonist, he slams the book shut, and it's Math 87, and then he goes out to run and hang out with, I think it was Arnold Schwarzenegger, the hero in the movie. So it's funny that these movies put product placement, but it was more than just a flash of a sight of it in the Equalizer. They made it out as if it was some type of subplot in the movie. And it's not really a spoiler alert because the point of the movie is not spoiled, even though that part does spoil the movie a little bit. It spoils it in the sense that it leaves a bad taste in your mouth if you know anything about Ta-Nehisis Coates and the liberal propaganda agenda of Hollywood. But anyways, it was a fun movie. I recommend it. Just don't pay for it, though. I don't know. Because we shouldn't be supporting Hollywood. I don't know. It's a mess. But yeah, blacks are really into this knowledge thing. Ta-Nehisis Coates is a very knowledgeable intellectual, but it hasn't done him any good. He's an atheist, a miserable person spreading misery and evil and supporting Black Lives Matter. He wrote this book, We Were 8 Years in Power, about Barack Obama, and it did nothing for the blacks. Black murder rates went up because of the Ferguson effect, because Obama and the media and these people who supposedly care about black people validated Black Lives Matter, validated the riots, validated the attacks on police, and so murder rates went up. And more blacks are dying today under the black-on-black homicides than before. So there you have it with the so-called knowledge of intellectuals who pretend to care about black people. He maybe thinks he cares, but he's no good. He's no good person. And he won't come on the show, the Jesse Lee Peterson show. He's a coward. A lot of these people act like they're above real discourse. That's what I like about people who are not that into knowledge, like President Trump, like Jesse Peterson. They just speak based on, there's obvious stuff for all to see, kind of like atheism. They get into all these stupid arguments about, would I go to hell for all eternity? I'm a halfway decent person. I do minor sins. And they're asking all these trick questions when they're not really looking around you. If you're looking around you, it's kind of silly and ridiculous to deny the existence of God. And so there's these obvious things that Trump and Jesse point out. Just look around you. You don't have to get all that much knowledge to see the truth. So you just have to know enough to not believe what deceptive people are telling you, such as the media and the politicians and Ta-Nehisis Coates and all them. He pronounced, the kid in the movie pronounced it Ta-Nehisis Coates. That was cool. Oh, and there are people that are, and I will get to your calls. I appreciate them. It's 888-775-3773. There are people who are into knowledge who've become like red-pilled. And then they look down on the cucks, the guys who are still liberal. You can't be doing that. You're going to, I mean, yes, you can give them a harsh wake-up call, I guess, but you cannot be looking down on others just because they don't know what you know. And this, I see that a lot. There was a guy that came on to Jesse's show, I think last week. He seems like kind of like a liberal guy, but well-meaning and repeats all those liberal lines, right? But they just tore him to shreds inside the comments. It was funny because he was not for White History Month unless it was meaning to like come together and everybody love each other, which is a nice sentiment, right? But like he believes a lot of things that are not true because that's what the media and probably most of, if not all of his liberal friends, his black friends are saying stuff like this, stuff like, oh, white history is every day and all that nonsense. You gotta be patient with people because there are people waking up and walking away every day. Whites, blacks, Hispanics, Italians, Sicilians, everybody. So anyway, by the way, one last thing before I get to the calls. Callers brought up on Jesse's show the idea of Men's Month. I don't know if it's Men's History Month, Men's Rights Month. Men's Rights sounds kind of weak, so I don't like that. Men's Power Month, maybe? I don't know, but I kind of like the idea of August being Men's Month. To imitate Jesse, August just feels manly. It's hot, it's long, it's one of the most powerful months. You work, you get a summer, even if you're a student, you get a summer job in the summer in the hot August time. You're working outside, doing manual labor, redoing the roof for your dad's house, all kinds of things. It's where boys become men, is in August. So that's that. It's a good idea. I like it. And white men should be leading a lot of the battles that they've surrendered. Speaking of men power, and men history. And men in general should be leading a lot of these battles. Men have started to hide behind women the way that whites hide behind blacks. There is validity to the criticism that some of these white conservative networks hide behind their black conservatives for the black conservatives to say stuff that's true that whites won't say. Whites should be able to say that, and men should be able to say the truth and not hide behind women conservatives to fight against abortion, say. Jesse did a very good segment on abortion and got some calls about it. And at one time, white men were leading that fight, and now they're not. They're kind of hiding behind the women because of political correctness and nonsense. So that's one of those things. And with this abortion thing, people have very low standards. Earlier this week, T from Alabama is not thinking like a man. This man T from Alabama is a kind of a liberal guy. He's always criticizing Jesse about always harping on the blacks. He said he also doesn't like that Jesse criticizes women, and Joel got in on this. Joel's like, but women, mothers are hurting their children. And T has, with his very low standard, says, at least she didn't abort you. That's not thinking like a man. Come on, T. I don't know if T listens to this show. He should. So anyways, we'll get into more of that, but I got to get to my callers. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, James, it's Tim from Louisiana.
Hey, Tim. How's it going?
Man? Happy White History Month.
Thank you. Happy White History Month. Last 3 days of White History Month. Make them good.
Make them real good. Hey, look, I really like the topic of today's show, man.
Yeah,
Knowledge.
you know, I thought of you when I was thinking about this topic because you've talked about it as well. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I've been going off about this issue, like this whole topic for the last 2 weeks. And,
Yeah.
I mean, going back to Jesse's biblical question of the week last week, do you have to, if you didn't read the Bible, would you know right from wrong?
Yeah.
No. I was like, yeah. I mean, of course. Just like you know how to poop and pee and eat and all that other stuff. You know, wake up and go to sleep. But whenever we read the Bible and we gain this intellectual knowledge, we start to play God and we start to judge.
Yeah.
And the same nature that applies to, like, I'm going to reference, like, the JQers, like all the people that hate the Jews.
Right.
And all the people, they may look for this knowledge with good intentions,
Yep.
but they get absorbed by it and then they become controlled by it.
Yeah.
You know?
It's so
It's
true.
crazy.
I've seen it happen over and over. Yep.
And it's they think it's a blessing or like it's a power to them, but it's really not. Like,
Yeah.
it's a curse.
They-
It's like,
They think they're enlightened. Like that's
Yeah.
the that's spiritual enlightenment to them, and it's really not.
and it's funny because if you talk to one JQ person, I mean, I have a really close friend that's a JQer and he's really heavily red-pilled,
Yeah.
and you spoke to him on the Discord before.
Yeah, good
And,
guy.
He's a really smart guy. He's extremely intelligent, but you know, he gets absorbed in that pursuit of knowledge.
Yeah.
I mean, after hearing him talk and I talk to another JQer, it's like I'm talking to the same person. There's no
Right.
difference there. It's like a robot. I don't know. There's like a lack of insight, you know?
Yeah.
So
That's a shame
real-
too. That's a shame because your friend, he's like a brilliant guy. He's naturally very smart, I think, and he tries to be. I believe that he had like a Buddhist background, and he tries to be a little detached and objective. And a lot of white guys tend to try to do that. Like they try to be intellectually honest, but it's not enough. It's not enough. It doesn't help your spirit still. And like you said, they become kind of like robots and hung up on it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to beat up on him. I mean, he's a great man, great person, but he gets carried away in that thirst for knowledge. And I think it's the same situation for other people, especially black people.
Yeah.
Who get obsessed with the whole black Israelite idea. Like they go back and say, we was kings and we was scientists. And it's like, you weren't even alive, or like this is all like hypothetical stuff you don't even really know. You're like absorbed into it and
Right.
you're controlled by it.
Yeah.
It's not the truth.
It's the same thing with finding out facts about slavery, because you can find horror stories, so they look for the horror stories to keep themselves mad about something that never happened to them or anybody else they know.
Oh, you know what just popped in my head? So whenever you become aware of something, that's when it starts to control you. Or whenever you gain knowledge of something, it starts to control you. Like, for instance, whenever Jesse says, if you cheat on your wife or whoever, never tell them.
Yeah.
Because if they gain that knowledge of you cheating, and then they control them.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah,
knowledge,
definitely.
Knowledge is a poison, man. It's crazy.
It really is, and it directs your focus. Like Mike Cernovich on The Fallen State told a couple of years ago, actually. He told, before Trump was elected, he told Jesse that what you focus on is what's important to you. And so, like, if you change what you happen to be focusing on, all of a sudden, you lose importance of what you were focusing on before, and what you're focusing on now becomes important to you. And that's it's kind of a good point, because you shouldn't keep your focus stayed on, like, for example, knowledge about any particular subject. It should be
You should keep focused
on self, on the present.
Past, present, future, you know.
Yep.
It's crazy. Like,
Tim
I
is
started watching.
For the people watching online, Tim is past, present, future online.
Yeah. Oh, go on Discord, guys. Come see me in Discord.
Yes.
The link is in it. Come chat with us. But
Link in the description.
it's crazy because ever since I started watching Jesse, I've been focused on myself, and like everything is like turning around, and everything is things were really good, or so I thought. But now it's just like on a whole different level.
That's
like
cool.
Everything is just going crazy.
Right on.
Quick shout out to spoiler alert, Patrick.
Nice.
Smitty 2000.
Smitty 2000? Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are good guys. Those are all good guys.
And I really like the idea of August being Men's History Month. Because, like you said, August it's red, it's hot, summer vacation is over, men got to go back to work, it's time to bring home the bread, you know. It's manhood month, you know what I mean?
Yep. It's probably also the most violent month of the year because it is so hot. People are going outside and you get cranky when you're hot. So it's like a challenging month. It's a good test for your character because you'll see.
Like you said, men are made in August.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
cool. I appreciate it, Tim. Thank you.
All right, man. See you in church.
All right, bye. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello?
Yes. Who's this?
Yes. This is Max from Indiana.
Max from Indiana. How are you?
Good. I actually heard about your show through Jesse's show, and just wanted to talk to you. I know Jesse kind of misses the point of what History Month is supposed to be, and he obviously doesn't understand what we're trying to say, what Black History Month is, what Asian History Month is. So what I wanted to tell you.
What are Black History Month and Asian History Month?
Okay, so essentially, when you say White History Month, Men's History Month, that's just stupid because Black History Month, Asian History Month, the other history months are supposed to showcase people who were minorities in our country who were oppressed and who did great things. Historically, men
I don't think that's the case, though.
Whites. Sorry?
I don't think that's the case, though. Like, a lot of these guys who did great things, they were not oppressed. They just happened to be minorities.
And minorities were oppressed.
No, I don't think so.
So you never think that African Americans were oppressed in our country?
Well, first of all, they were not African Americans, and they were enslaved, and like there was some unfair treatment to them, so you could call that oppression. And
that is oppression. It's not even. There's no question about it. That is oppression.
Yeah, and there's no question that whites today are oppressed as well.
And give me an example of how whites are oppressed. I don't see whites being oppressed.
Whites don't have freedom of speech, so if they tell the truth, then about another race, then they will be at risk to lose their job. They'll get doxxed. They'll get hit. They are oppressed with fear. Fear is put on them. False guilt is put on them all the time. The whites are definitely, unquestionably oppressed in this country.
So if I go to my workplace and I say something racist, and I'm not white, I'm a minority, do you think that I will be praised and applauded, or do you think I'd get fired? If I say something racist about African Americans or Asians or Hispanics, are you suggesting that I would be praised, and if a white person said the same thing, that they'd get fired?
So I don't know what you are. What are you?
I'm of Asian descent.
Okay. So I don't know what racist is. Like, there's no such thing as racism. But if you say something true about another race that is negative, you'll get a lot more slack cut on you than a white person would, by far, easily, definitely, no question.
So you're speaking in kind of these theoretical terms.
No,
I'm trying to be
but
pragmatic.
this is not theoretical. This is not theoretical.
Back your point up with examples. I don't see
here's an example.
This happening all the time.
Yeah, here's an example. Donald Sterling, he told his girlfriend or whatever.
Whatever he said was racist, by the way, but continue.
It was not racist. He didn't want his mistress or whatever she was to hang out with blacks. And he has the right to want that. She has the right to obey or leave, get out of the relationship, whatever that relationship was. She secretly recorded it, which is illegal in California, by the way. and she shared it to TMZ, and TMZ called it racist, and all the other people were calling it racist. Blacks and others were acting like it's such an outrage that he should think this way. And so the NBA took his team away from him, which he had bought with his own money. And so that is oppression. That was because he did not have freedom of speech. And he had his property taken away from him because of something that he had the right to say and think in private. And even if he said it in public, he had the right to do it. But nowadays, people like you don't believe in freedom of speech. This is why white people, the alt-right, are very upset that a lot of people of color have come in here, and they're upset with the liberal brainwashing that has happened in the culture, because there's this propaganda that other races are oppressed and whites are not. And meanwhile, whites are losing their country. They're losing the freedom of speech. They're losing the values that made America great, which is freedom. And there is no longer an acceptance of people being and saying and acting as loving or hateful as they want to be. People can say the total truth. For example, the guy over in the Nevada rancher, Cliven Bundy, he said that blacks may have been better off during slavery than today because they were working, they had their families, they were not having out-of-wedlock births and killing one another and abortions and all those things. And everybody abandoned them, including good conservative people abandoned him and called him racist just for telling the truth.
That isn't the truth. Are you brainwashed? With all due respect, have you been brainwashed by Jesse? Because some of the things that you said just do not make sense. If you really think about it, they just do not make sense.
So how does it not make sense that out-of-wedlock birth, abortion, black-on-black crime is worse for the spirit and the morality and the livelihood of black people than slavery?
So they were abused. First of all, black people did not want to come to this country. They were forced to come. So
what?
Firstly,
nobody wanted to be born. They were forced to be born.
Okay.
So what's your point? Everybody has their challenges in life.
So are you saying slavery was just a mere challenge? They weren't.
Yes.
Blacks weren't sacrificed, and blacks are the ones that essentially built this country. Whites came
No,
into
they
this
didn't.
country.
See, you're just totally brainwashed. You think that blacks built this country, and many of them did at one point when they were working, but now they're not. They're destroying the country.
They were enslaved.
They're destroying their communities and their country.
And let me just give you a quick history lesson. I know I'm going on for a little bit too long, but this country wasn't the whites' country. There were people who lived here before, and the whites.
But it was not a country. It was not a country at that point. It was just land. It was land, and it was taken just like the whole rest of the world has always been. There have been always people who come in and take over other people's land. The whites. Yeah. And what's your problem with that?
They did it cruelly.
How do you know? How do you know it was all cruel? Much of it was made of deals. They made deals. They paid for it. A lot of it was made deals, and you just want to hate white people because you're brainwashed. I
don't hate white people. I have a lot of white friends.
That doesn't mean anything. You hate white people. Joel, talk to him.
Just so Donald Sterling is his name, right? The guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Donald Sterling.
So put yourself on the screen.
You don't think that?
Yeah, it's not on.
You don't think that it was right for him? He had the right to say what he said about the black people.
He does have the right. It's freedom of speech.
But do you think
you don't believe in freedom of speech? You believe in
I do believe in freedom of speech.
You believe in taking away his team.
We had some alt-right members come to my school. I never barred them from coming. They have the freedom of speech to say what they want.
Do you think what he said was true?
No, I don't think what he said was true.
So you think what he said was racist?
Yes.
But why is it not true? You don't see that black people are untrustworthy? Some of them?
I have several black friends. They're good friends of mine.
Okay, well, how about some of them are untrustworthy?
No, I wouldn't have untrustworthy friends.
So not your friends, but just black people in general. You don't see that some of them are out of control? Some.
I mean, it's the same case with every other race. I see untrustworthy white people, untrustworthy Hispanic people, untrustworthy Asian people.
So even if that's the case, that you see untrustworthy all kinds of different races, isn't it what makes it false for him to say he doesn't want people? What makes it racist for him to say he doesn't want his wife around black people? If making your point that some black people and all other races also are untrustworthy.
See, there's a difference between I don't want black people at my game versus I don't want some of these people. If he singled out some of her friends which he saw were untrustworthy, that wouldn't be racist. I wouldn't call that racism. But when he said do not hang around with black people in general, that is, I guess, some form of segregation.
So
it's
what?
It's not actually segregation.
So what?
What do you mean, so what?
So who cares if he wants to segregate?
Then he shouldn't be allowed to own an NBA team.
See, you don't believe in freedom of speech. You believe in hate speech. You're brainwashed. This is why the alt-right
well, you will. If I'm brainwashed, I think you're brainwashed too. So.
I know, but that doesn't mean anything.
What? No, you guys aren't answering my point. I'm answering.
Okay, what is your point?
You guys are saying the same.
But you didn't make a. Okay, what is your point?
I am for freedom of speech, but when someone...
No, you're not. You're clearly not for freedom of speech.
I'm not against that. I'm against that, sorry.
But that is not hate. There's no indication that he hated black people. He just didn't want the negative reputation around that girl. Anyways,
it's funny because most of the team, the LA Clippers, were African Americans. That's the irony in this whole thing.
So that just shows how dumb you are, because you think that he hates black people, but he's employing black people.
And then he's around enough black people to know the truth about him. So
yep, more so than you. You have several friends. He has many black friends.
Okay, and when
so
he says
you're the
he doesn't
ignorant
want
one.
his girlfriend to be around black people.
That's because he knows how black people are.
And how does he know that?
Because he had a team full of black people.
He's been around them.
And they're professionals and they're celebrities,
and he knows how they
act.
I don't understand.
You've been around several educated black people who act nice because you're nice to them.
Okay.
But he's around, last point, James, sorry not to cut you off.
Yeah.
But he's around professionals.
You should have turned on your camera, man.
I know, I tried. But for black people, he's a coach who's around professional black celebrities.
He's not a coach. He was the owner, so he doesn't actually go down there and coach them. But
okay, but he's around a bunch of celebrities and black people all the time, and he sees what's going on at these parties. He sees what's going on as a celebrity black person, and he has a right to say, I don't want you around these black people because he's around them and he sees them all the time. So you can't say that statement is false or that is racist because it's a reality.
I don't think if he singled out a couple players, that would be fine. But he said black people in general, so he's generalizing the entire population, which is wrong.
Blacks generalize themselves. Blacks know how blacks are.
If you say so. I mean, I don't even know how to argue this point anymore. At this point,
because you don't know what you're talking about.
Stupidity.
You're brainwashed.
No, you don't know what you're talking about as well, man. Come on.
All right. So happy White History Month and happy Men's History Month coming up soon.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks for the call. God, man. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
It's Maze.
Maze, how you doing?
Yes, you got to use Joel. Joel don't know all black people.
He wanted to chime in, so I let him in.
He chimed in with nothing. Because all black people are not the same, just like all Caucasian people are not the same.
No, but a disproportionate number of blacks are the same. A disproportionate number of blacks are the same. And everybody knows this. If you're denying it, you don't care about black people. Because
y'all in denial, indoctrinated. That's the problem with you and Joel both. He's black and you're
Joel's going to get you, Maze. He's turning on the camera and he's going to get you.
Let him turn it on and come on. I have a question for him anyway.
You still think knowledge is power?
But I still want to talk to you.
You still think knowledge is power?
It sure is, and that you do not have, and Joel don't either. And when you're saying if you don't read the Bible,
yes.
If you don't read it, you're not missing out on anything.
Because nobody ever said don't read the Bible. That's a misconception.
No. I said if you don't. I said if you don't read the Bible.
But whoever brought up the the biblical question, if you don't read the Bible, would you know right from wrong? And Tim said yes.
if you use his law that he left on this earth for you to use, you would know right from wrong, because that's why he left it here, the commandments. And then if you don't have that Bible and you have his law and you follow it, and you will be the Christian that you pretend to be, because all the evil things that we hear and is about black people. But then I wanted to ask Joel, who is John Hanson, and what was his purpose to this country? And then since it's Caucasian History Month, would it should just be Caucasian Month?
White History Month, Maze. You keep on saying Caucasian history. That's wrong.
That's right. See,
it's white history. Why are you trying to change the name? Such disrespect.
Because you want it to be.
No, I don't want it to be Caucasian history. I want it to be white history.
I want you to deal with your cousins that came out of that era too. Your cousins that don't look like you, that you sit on here and talk about all the time. Your cousins, and how did they get here from slavery? Because those people were pure before they hit this land. So, and then they came here, and then they was enslaved. So let's talk about what you can see with your own eyes. You know those biracial
whatever,
children.
Maze.
Let's talk about your cousins. See, you be careful that you don't marry one. What?
You talking about you or me?
No, you.
Okay. I think Joel wanted. I didn't even. Did I mention my cousin earlier?
I don't know.
No. I'm saying your cousins on the other side. You got them on your other side. You got blackness in your family because of your grandfather.
How do you know that?
But you're not gonna deal with that.
I remember. I don't know if I had a dream or if it really happened, but my dad. I think I remember my dad telling me that they found Indian blood in his dad, and so like we. I think I told this story. We started dancing around in the circle going, hi, yeah, 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 hi, yeah, yeah, yeah.
No, James. We don't want to go there.
I don't know about any black blood in me. It's possible.
You probably
Who
got
knows?
some. Your grandfather probably got some hanging out like that. Now you just hate them. And
I don't hate any.
Yes, you do.
Whatever.
You don't love black people.
I don't love anybody.
No, you don't love black people. Just going to say it. But you won't hurt my feelings. I just know how you feel. It's
whatever.
better to let your feelings out
But do you know how you feel? Hold on, Maze. Do you know how you feel? Do you love white people?
That's why I expect I love everybody. So you can't say you love everybody because you don't.
A lot of these people say, I have black friends, I have blacks in my family, I have white friends, I have whites in my family. That doesn't mean anything.
You got them in yours because of your grandfather.
But that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean you're not a hateful person.
All of these things that you want to hold your history up and blind people's face.
Hold on, Maze.
And all of these things. So check your cousins out. Bring them into your history too.
Whatever. You don't even know. I don't even know what you're talking about. How are you going to know what I'm going to...
I can bring your black cousins into your family. Y'all want to have it's your history, and that's part of it.
This is pointless.
Am I right or wrong?
Go ahead, Joel.
Well, she had a question.
Oh, yeah, you had a question for Joel. Go ahead.
I asked him who was John Hanson.
I don't know who John Hanson is.
That's what I'm
trying to say.
Don't
come to my show with these random things.
Find out. Find out. No, he's so smart, and he's always got to come in and got something to say.
If you're gonna come with a point, you can't be referencing stuff without telling what it was.
You're doing history. He was a part of your history. So find out who he is.
No, you tell us what. I'm gonna give you 10 seconds to tell us who it is, and then I'm moving on.
Don't get mad, James, and fly out because you can't control. When you can't control, you get and indoctrinate people. That's what's wrong with you and Joel. He's just as bad as you are. Lost.
5.
Now run.
4. Who is John Hanson?
Talk to you boys later. But Joel can look it up and tell you who he was.
No, okay, goodbye. Maze.
I want him to so he will know.
For what reason?
For what reason? You doing White History Month?
So?
That's part of history.
You don't want to share it. You just want to tease.
James should know too. He's so smart.
This is why we need Men's History Month right after White History.
And to get rid of the hatred that the two of you have within your system.
What about the hatred in your system?
Because y'all got it and don't even realize it.
All right.
Because God won't bless neither one of you for the evil that you got within your heart. Rinse it out, and then you're gonna be some better people.
Thank you. Very good advice.
Oh, well, he was president. He was the president.
John Hanson?
Yes, look it up.
All right, thanks, man.
See, y'all so smart. I say when somebody brings something to you for you to find and spread it to the fear minds that you discussing and talking to, you don't want to deal with it. Deal with reality and come out of the movies.
All right, Maze, I got to go.
Thank you. Under the honor of Confederacy.
All right,
John
goodbye,
Hanson.
Maze.
Okay, yeah, y'all have a good one.
You too. Bye. So that Asian guy, she's on your team. So just think about that. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. Who's this?
It's Joel from Oregon.
Joel with an L or Joe with just Joe?
Joel.
Aha. Joel and Joel on the same show.
There you go. Your first caller, he was just 100% wrong, and I think the main crux of his objection.
Are you talking about the Asian guy?
Blacks were to hear that blacks were better off under slavery. You know, I'm not so
are you talking about the?
To say that,
hold on, Joel, you're confusing me.
Obvious by the fact.
Joel, I have a question. You said that my first caller was Tim, but my second caller was the Asian guy. I can't remember his name already. But
okay.
And I told him that Clive and Bundy had a point that blacks were better off under slavery than they are today because they're mentally and spiritually enslaved today and dying at high rates. And so what were you saying?
I would say under segregation, maybe not under slavery. The segregation period.
I include slavery in that. Segregation and slavery, they're better.
Harsh because slavery could be so harsh and is so harsh.
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? There were good and bad slave owners.
I'm just going to go with my personal feeling is that it would be better stated that they were better off under segregation rather than slavery.
I reject that completely.
Okay. Anyway,
thank you.
As to your topic is
knowledge. Knowledge is poison.
Knowledge, and the original sin is the tree of knowledge.
Exactly. So, thank you for making that point. I meant to.
I just wanted to say that, and you know the
So hold on. Let's tell this story. Hold on, Joel, man. It seems like when you talk, like you can't hear me. But anyways, let's make this point more broadly. Adam and Eve ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and then they got kicked out,
from grace.
And they couldn't even eat from the tree of life, and so they died. And so knowledge is death. It's poison.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's real biblical. So anyway, let's see. Let's not get too far from that, I suppose. But our masters of knowledge, the scientists, are the commanders of knowledge, the scientists, or whatever you want to call them in society. They just want to be masters of the universe. It's an ego thing. They want to be in control of their own destiny.
In reality,
it's a pretty serious problem throughout the scientific or the greatest knowledge-based community of our society.
Yeah, and they're kind of self-important. They want the government to fund them and their research. They act like they're like the best. And so really, they're not really about knowledge. They're about questions. Real science is about questions, not knowledge,
and
testing.
You're saying knowledge
and
is
observing.
Power. That saying always sent chills down my spine, and because it seems so true, but it's not. But in reflecting on it a little bit, it's not power; it's control.
Right.
So that's what it really is. It's not power.
That's
other than control.
Right. That's why the media wields this control, because they direct your attention. They feed you this knowledge, some of it true, a lot of it false, and they make people think that things are true that are not true. For example, that racism exists. That Asian kid was believing that racism is real and that Donald Sterling shouldn't have the freedom of speech because what he spoke was hate speech, so he should have his team taken away from him. All these people are brainwashed. They justify the oppression of white people.
It's a hate speech is a made-up thing to control people.
Yeah. Cool, I appreciate it, Joel.
I wanted to add that the tree of knowledge is the original sin there, and and God bless your misguided callers, and God bless you, gentlemen. You guys have a great day.
All right, you as well, Joel. Take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello?
Yes, who's this?
Hey, this is Ebony.
Hey, Ebony, good to hear from you.
Yeah, the man that was talking about the tree of knowledge, that is so true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and about the Asian guy, he is just very lost.
He sounded so white to me. Is he that?
Yeah.
He sounded like that 17-year-old or something. Okay. Atheist guy? I think he's atheist. Anyways. Yeah, I totally agree, Ebony.
Yeah.
You were one of the people who called in after Jesse spoke about the abortion thing.
Yeah, and I was trying to get back to call him again, but the lines were just so busy.
Yeah, you got to call early.
And I can't believe I just told that story. Oh, Lord. Everybody and their mama heard it.
Yeah. I mean, some things some things you do want to keep to yourself, but some things it may help people. And it may help you too.
Yeah, and I don't never keep anything to myself, especially if it's in my mind and I want to get it out, my point out. I can't keep it to myself. I gotta let you know the whole story, and that's but the truth. And I forgot what I was about to say, but like black people believe that like if we ever go into like a war or something, right? That we are going to be like against white people, you know, and white people are going to be against black people. And they believe that to the fullest, but that's not true because white people support their agenda. Even though they are liberal, they still support it. And it's funny because they don't know the difference between evil white people and good white people.
In fact, they tend to cozy up with the evil ones.
White people that they come to you and smile in your face and want to help you and give you all this free stuff because they think you are oppressed. They think you are enslaved, and they use that against you. And I don't understand why people can't see that. It's plainly in your face all the time. Just like Roseanne Barr when she was talking about Valerie Jarrett. They you know, just did her all kinds of wrong, cut her show off quick. But when the lady was talking about Ivanka Trump and her little baby in her hand, a picture of her and her baby, and gonna call the lady a cunt and talk about she needs to control her daddy. How she gonna control her own daddy?
I know,
and
exactly.
It's like, come
like
on.
Trump can, like that's even possible to control Trump.
Yeah,
that was Samantha Bee. Samantha Bee acted like she cares about the children, the illegal alien children, I think it was. And so Ivanka was showing a picture of herself with her child for the audience. You could probably find that, Joe. And so because she was showing a picture of a mother and a child, it triggered the liberals who are pretending to care about the illegal alien mothers and children. Never mind that they're leaving the fathers. And, you know, the out-of-wedlock birth rate among Hispanic immigrants is like the worst among all immigrants. And Hispanics have more out-of-wedlock kids than blacks do because their birth rate is so high. And so it's really polluting the country. And, there it is. There's Samantha Bee and there's a picture of Ivanka with her son. So cute. But
it was
liberals
so cute,
hate nice, cute things that come from nice people.
Yeah. And the Asian guy, I don't know how many black friends he got or whatever.
They're probably all like white type of blacks like Joel, except they're more brainwashed by liberalism, so they tell him the same stuff that he's told in school, which is that they're oppressed, and whites are not, and there's hate speech.
Yeah, and it's like everybody's oppressed. Everybody's getting oppressed at one point in time, and I know this that whites are more oppressed in this country because, they got that guilt on them. They think, their ancestors owned slaves, and some of their ancestors didn't even own slaves.
Right.
It was still people coming over here in this country.
Some of them were slaves,
black
probably.
People coming over here in this country.
Some of their ancestors probably were slaves, and it's so funny and it's crazy that it's a good. The point about oppression. Most of the time, oppression, I think, is the people's own fault. And like whites, it's their own fault that they're oppressed because they don't have to be slaves to fear. They don't have to be slaves to this political correctness and false guilt over racism and stuff like that. But they are because they're brought up that way and their parents fail them. But they can overcome it. It's so easy to get past oppression, especially spiritual oppression. And that's the worst kind of oppression. And that's one point that Cliven Bundy made about blacks with the out-of-wedlock births and the lack of work ethic and all that stuff. Spiritual oppression is much worse than physical oppression.
Yeah, 'cause I got that. Like, basically, when I was growing up, I grew up in a good place. You know what I'm saying? I still respect my parents because they are my parents, but the way I was raised, it was just like, you know, it was just not right. I've been raised around, and as a little kid, my parents was, you know, on drugs, and all they want to do is work and party to support their habit.
Man.
And basically, we have to, you know, us as me, my sister, and my brother, we have to, you know, survive on our own, figure out everything on our own, because our parents didn't give it to us. And we learn from, like, society, culture, school, and stuff like that. And so that's how we learn. We didn't get nothing from our parents,
right.
But you have to work. But my stepdad, he really didn't want us to do anything, clean up or nothing. He wanted to clean, cook, like he just wanted to take over the whole house. And sorry for all the noise, my kids and my dog. But yeah, and like right now, my sister is a nurse, and my brother, he works really good, but he got this mentality that, you know, white people are Neanderthals, and they got this Rh positive blood that makes them. It's just like this weird little stuff, and I'm like, what?
That's that
Where
knowledge.
are you learning this from? But they go on. They have these experience. They have this experience with some whites, and you know, that's evil. That, you know, they probably, you know, call them the N-word or something like that. So they just blame all whites for it.
Right.
And so they look up these to make themselves feel better, not make themselves feel bad about being called the N-word. They throw stuff back at white people like they not human, they Neanderthals, you know, and all this bull crap. And it's
it's completely like irrelevant stuff.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I have a question for you, Ebony. What do you think of Men's History Month for August?
It's great. They really need it.
Yeah.
Because men, especially black men in this world, like I live in Austin, Texas, and all the, not all of them, but almost black men that grew up in the hood and they only had the mothers to, you know, raise them or whatever, and the father was out doing, I don't know what, probably making more babies or whatever. But they all got this like womanly mentality.
Yeah.
And they need like a strong man. But if a strong man come to them and is not talking about black problems, is talking about, you know, the problems, how you need to fix yourself, they get offended by it.
Some of them are a lot of them are waking up though. That's what's nice. And
I wish I wake some of these people up here in Austin.
Right.
Because they got this mentality that, you know, you know, Hispanic and blacks got to stick together because they is just so oppressed.
Yeah.
And
it's ridiculous. They're like
Hispanics oppressed when they got all the businesses and all. I don't understand.
Right.
This is Texas. All we go off is Mexican food and barbecue. And and how is Hispanics oppressed? If you're doing like, something wrong.
It seems like evil people tend to like cling together, and even though they don't get along with each other really, and. You made a point, and I forget what exactly it was, but it reminded me of this woman-like thinking, which is going along with evil, letting some evil slide, and then finding some other way to fix it and correct it. Say, like this abortion thing. Like, you want to reduce abortions? Increase condoms. So it's basically encouraging people to keep on doing wrong, having sex out of wedlock and all that stuff. And at least you're getting rid of abortions. It's kind of like this T from Alabama who said, at least your mother didn't abort you. You should be thankful to her. Rather than pointing out, but she did wrong in the course of raising you. We have to deal with reality. And then there's this this immigration thing. There's these lax rules on immigration. And then there's this false compassion on the so-called immigrants, which are the illegal aliens and the overstayed visa type people. And rather than just sending them back, keeping the simple solutions, which is tough to do because it's tough love, and a lot of people are not willing to go along with tough love and enforcement of rules because there's a lack of men in society. There's just these beta males who feel sorry for, it's tough for beta males to make the tough confrontation thing and do the tough thing because they don't want to look like the bad guy. And we got to get past that because if we don't, we're just going to keep on surrendering our country, and it's really bad. And it's making, what's funny is it's hurting the blacks the worst because they're the most vulnerable currently in the culture. But a lot of people are vulnerable. Like Kate Steinle, she was vulnerable. She was in the wrong place at the wrong time and shot and killed by an illegal alien. And but that's a more extreme example. But there's so many subtle examples of people, illegal aliens and others, getting ill-gotten gain because of illegal immigration. And so that's all due to like a lack of toughness. So anyways, I got to go, Ebony. I appreciate it.
Okay. I could talk to you forever.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Take
nice
care.
talking to you.
And watch Church is in 1 hour with on Bond Rebuilding the Man. I'm sure that you watch it already.
Yeah, I do.
All right, 11 a.m. Pacific time at Bond Rebuilding the Man YouTube channel. Go to rebuildingtheman.com/church. I'm going to try to get to at least one caller. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello?
Hey, thanks for waiting.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, real fast, what's your name, where you calling from, and real fast, what's your point?
My name is Dave Vincent.
Dave?
And I am calling from northern Missouri.
Hey, what did you want to say real fast? I'm sorry we got to wrap up.
I've been watching the show, both shows, Jesse Lee Peterson's show and yours.
Nice.
Big fan.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I would like to know why Jesse Lee Peterson supports Israel and what is his, maybe what do you guys think about that? I've heard him talk about the dilemma between Israel and the Palestinians. And,
Okay, so he supports Israel because he was raised to support Israel. In Christianity, we're just taught to support Israel. And they're generally he's been there and he's seen that they, although there is a lot of evil going on, such as Tel Aviv is so pro-gay, just like America is. There's a lot of good in. Don't make a lot of noise. What you doing? Are you on speakerphone? But anyway. Yeah, come off the speakerphone. Can you hear me? Well, real fast. He supports Israel because he's been there, and it's a very biblical place. It says God said to support Israel, and all who oppose them, he opposes them, and so they've been an ally supposedly, and he's been there and he's seen they're the bright people, whereas all the Palestinians are just like the blacks. They're doing nothing with their world. Just looking angrily and jealously at the Israelites, just like the blacks do with the whites, and he's seen that firsthand. Okay. So that's basically it. I'm sorry, I gotta go.
Can I read one thing?
No, I'm sorry, I gotta go. Watch Church in 1 hour with Jesse Lee Peterson.
Can I say one thing?
Thank you, man. No, I'm sorry, I gotta go. Take care.
Okay. Well,
all right.
Let me say.
Stubborn. I'm sorry, callers. We gotta go. Go to church, rebuildingtheman.com/church. And if you gotta get something off your chest, call into the radio show. Call early, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. on Jesse Lee Peterson. Take care, guys.